This one. Can start. Alhamdulillah. نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So today, inshallah, tonight we'll be continuing discussing the book Al-Arba'in An-Nawawi, and we started discussing Hadith Al-Thamin wal-Ishrun, the 28th Hadith, and we had 2 sessions regarding this Hadith. We had 2 sessions, previous session with this particular Hadith. So in the first session that we had discussed concerning matters regarding takhrij of the Hadith, the different wordings and the source of the Hadith, and also the aqwal of the ulama pertaining to this Hadith, whether the Hadith is authentic or not. Then also we discussed regarding the Rawi of the Hadith, who was Irbad ibn Sariya. Then in the last lesson that we had started discussing the Hadith. So in the last lesson we discussed the virtue, what the ulama mentioned regarding this particular Hadith and its importance. Then also we discussed regarding concerning the topics or the mawdu'at, what are the main topics that this Hadith covers. And then we started discussing the Hadith. So we discussed concerning matters pertaining to Al-Wadh as the first section of Hadith, where the Prophet Islam regarding concern this matter regarding Al-Wadh of giving a admonition. So we discussed certain matters regarding admonition, regarding 3 things regarding the content, the person, the presenter, giving the wada, and other things that they should factor in regarding giving Al-Wadh. Then the next matter, so that will be the end of that. So we'll now continue by discussing another of this matter. We also discussed concerning at-taqwa. The Prophet ﷺ, the Hadith mentioned, he started regarding at-taqwa. So discussed concerning at-taqwa in brief, as we had covered that previously. So let us mention certain things brief regarding at-taqwa. So as for today, inshallah ta'ala, that we'll discuss other of the points that this Hadith mentioned, and of those points regarding, as in the Hadith mentioned, as-samha wa-taha, that the Hadith mentioned, as-samha wa-taha, lil-ul amr, or the Hadith mentioned, as he mentioned, أوصيكم بتقوى الله والسمع والطاعة وإن تأمر عليكم عبد. So that's the part of the Hadith we discuss. We try to discuss, inshallah ta'ala. We'll try to discuss that portion of the Hadith. So as for this matter, as we had mentioned before, is discussing this certain matters regarding obedience to the leaders and what is required by way of the leaders, and also what we should give to the leaders, and also how we choose a leader. So we'll try to discuss some of those points. So of the points, the first of the point regarding, as he mentioned, Hadith. So we'll start the meaning of that. He mentioned, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, وَالسَّمْعِ وَالطَّاعَةِ وَإِن تَأَمَّرَ عَلَيْكُمْ عَبْدٌ. So in this narration, he mentioned abd, being the one that you should hear and obey, meaning those in authority, those who are placed over authority over you, even if even though that leader is an abd, is a slave. So they mentioned regarding concerning that when the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned regarding that here, as-sama, meaning for you to qabul. So what you have heard from the leader, then you should accept those things. Wa-taha, you should fall in line and comply with what the leader have ordered, if those things are in line with Islam. And there's no obedience to the leader if he's commanding something which is disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or in contrary to Islam. So obedience to the leader, we hear and we obey the leaders in relation to things that are in line with Islam. As for the leader commanding or putting in place things that are in contrary to Islam, then there's no obedience to the leader in those matters. So that's what the Hadith meant regarding this particular matter. There was a discussion regarding what the Prophet mentioned, فَإِن تَأَمَّرَ عَلَيْكُمْ عَبْدٌ, that as we'll discuss, that after the requirement for the head of state of the Muslim, that he to be a person is a hur, is not per se a slave. So ordinarily, that of the condition, the requirement for the head of state, that he should be a free person, not an abd. So when I mention abd there, and I put emphasis to emphasize that even if the one, So they mentioned two like ihtimal, that by way of to emphasize that anyone who's in that role as the head of the state, the Muslim, then they should be obeyed, even if the person may not be the most qualified. He may not be the most qualified, or he forfeits some of the qualifications. Then they mention also regarding that's concerning that. So this is the kind of somewhat to emphasize regarding that, putting emphasis regarding you should obey those in authority over you, even if they may have certain shortcomings. So that's concerning this particular, as I mentioned, abd. So in discussing concerning matters, we'll try this kind of somewhat in brief to give us a general idea or what is discussed regarding concerning this matter regarding as-siyasatu shar, or regarding a matter that relates to wali al-amr, those in authority, what have been outlined in the Sharia regarding what's that role and what is involved. So of those things that we'll try to cover regarding concerning hukum al-imama. So the word concerning that wali al-amr, the head of state, the amir, the khalifa, and all these terms that are used for the same type of role. Is all used for the same role. Just also to add, they mention, as we have mentioned before, in different riwayat of the hadith, when they mention abd, this one mentioned in ta'amur alaykum abd. In other narration, as we mentioned, that some narration mentioned regarding concerning in Sahih Muslim, وَلَوْ كَانَ أَبْدًا أَبَشِيًّا مُجَدَّ أَطْرَافٍ. Kind of somewhat they mentioned that, give a more description of regarding that leader, that if it's وَإِنْ كَانَ abd, if the leader is an abd, a slave, Habashiyan, is from Habasha, and also Mujadda and Atraf, and his ears kind of somewhat is this kind of somewhat, they say the word? So is that type of description. Also mentioned Habashi kana ra'suhu zabida. In the sense of, you know, that he has a nappy head type of thing. So it mentioned that type of description. So you have different description showing regarding concerns, you know, that the person who may be in charge may not be of the person who fulfills certain criteria as regarding being an abd, and also being Habashi, though where, as we'll discuss, that you have certain criteria that ulama have laid down based upon text. So the criteria is based upon text regarding what are the qualities that one should look for in choosing and selecting a leader. So we discuss, so the hadith mentioned regarding that abd, other description. So as for the first of the matter regarding imama, regarding concerning leadership, I would say leadership in this context, leader of the Muslims, the head of state. So you find that and you have books have been written on this topic. So you have books that have been written on these topics. You have Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah have written on this topic. We have and others of the different madhahib have written on this topic regarding what is the requirement for the leader. As I mentioned, ahkam sultaniya. So ahkam sultaniya, things that relates to masahil that relates to the head of state, the person who's in charge. So the first in the ulama, after thing the ulama have discussed on this topic, they mention hukum tansib al-imam. What's the ruling in placing someone over the Muslim? So someone being in charge. What's the ruling having someone in charge? So between the ulama, they mentioned that as for this matter regarding having someone in charge of the Muslim, that is an ijma between the Muslim, that having someone in charge is wajib. So placing a leader over the Muslim, it is something which is wajib to have a leader over the Muslim, and there's an ijma on this matter. So that's concerning. So says that as for the first matter regarding concerning that they mention an ijma on this matter for those who have written on this topic regarding Marwardi and the likes. I've mentioned ijma regarding, and they have a khilaf between ba'd al-ulama regarding concerning, no, is placing a leader is something which is shara'an or aqlan. Placing a leader, having a leader, they agree that something is wajib, but this is something just we said, is by way of reasoning or logical reasoning, or by something which is something that is mentioned in the Sharia, and it's something mentioned in the Sharia. So the Sharia have also put this in place, and ulama mentioned, as we'll discuss, So they mention I have to prove as a point or of the evidence to prove regarding concerning something which is wajib, that when the Prophet ﷺ, upon the Prophet ﷺ's death, immediately placed Abu Bakr as the leader, even before the Prophet ﷺ was buried. So even before he was buried, then that discussion regarding having a leader, having someone in charge, that discussion was open, and the process, it started. So they mentioned regarding concern that having a leader is wajib, that you find Marwardi from the ulama of the Shafi'iyah, that of the book Ahkam al-Sultaniyya mentioned al-imama, meaning concerning the head of state, موضوع للخلافة النبوية في حراسة الدين وسياسة الدنيا. So concerning that the role, this imama, this position regarding concerning the imama, it's about regarding the person that is the person that is succeeding the Prophet ﷺ, as a succession of the Prophet ﷺ regarding leadership, with a person that is there to preserve and to protect regarding the Muslim, their deen, and also to govern them regarding affairs of the dunya. So the leader, and we'll discuss that further, so the general thing of the leader is to the governance of the Muslim regarding things of the dunya, and also to protect and preserve their deen. Then I mentioned ويكون بها في الأمة واجب بالإجماع. So also you mentioned that regarding concerning that as for leader لمن يقوم بها, and placing one in charge with this, they mentioned في الأمة amongst the Muslim, that is wajib بالإجماع. It is something which that there's an agreement regarding placing a leader over the Muslim. And also An-Nawawi rahimahullah also stated أجمعه على أن يجب على المسلمين نصب الخليفة. That An-Nawawi rahimahullah, he mentioned that أجمعه is an agreement between the ulama على أنه يجب, that it is compulsory على المسلمين, upon the Muslim, نصب خليفة, to place someone as the head of state, وجوبه بالشر ولا بالعقل. That is something which is wajib by way of the Sharia, not by way of aql, reasoning. So that's concerning that matter. So from that it shows regarding having a leader in charge of the Muslim, it is something which is wajib. The next of the matter that is discussed, you find that even concerning the books of tafsir, to the extent we find that, as we mentioned, you have books that are specific on this topic, and also books of hadith, and also the fuqaha will also discuss this matter. So in the books of fiqh will also cover this matter, and also books of hadith, they'll cover even books of tafsir. So you find that Ibn Kathir, and even before, and you have al-Qurtubi. So you have this tafsir al-Qurtubi, al-Jami' lil-Ahkam al-Quran, al-Qurtubi rahimahullah, which he discussed some of these matters regarding the leadership, and also the same thing Ibn Kathir. So when they discuss in both books, when they discuss regarding concerning ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 30, when they discuss in Surah Al-Baqarah verse 30, what is mentioned, inni ja'ilun fil ard khalifa, inni ja'ilun fil ard khalifa. That's verse number 30 in Surah Al-Baqarah, that they discuss this matter regarding leadership. They discuss certain matters regarding leadership. So Ibn Kathir rahimahullah, that covers certain matters regarding leadership, and also the same thing as that of Al-Qurtubi. They discuss some matters So after the thing that they discussed regarding concerning that, so the next matter discussed would be Sifat al-Khalifa. So what are the requirements, shurut al-imama? What are the shurut that is expected to be fulfilled by the one who is said to be the one in charge? So what are those conditions that are expected from the imam? So we'll find the case of the Muslim going through the process of choosing an imam. Then what are those qualities that they should look for in the person that they intend to choose as the imam? So they mentioned that of those conditions, they mentioned shurut al-imam of Islam. So of those conditions, you have those which is agreed upon between the fuqaha, as these conditions are a requirement from the imam. And also you have some conditions that there's a khilaf, there's a difference between the ulama regarding these conditions. Are they a must or not? So you find those which is agreed upon, yes, he must possess these qualities, and you find some that are some discussion between the ulama on those qualities. Of those qualities that they mention are shurut al-imam, conditions. That one, al-Islam. So the imam must be a Muslim. We just can somewhat note them type of thing. So I've said for us to just be aware of the general topic. So I said this will be a topic that requires its own time to be discussed in detail, just for us to have a general idea as to what is discussed between the ulama. So they mentioned that al-Islam. Mention Islam being one. As Allah mentioned, وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَأُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْكُمْ. So they mentioned minkum, meaning min, from you the Muslim. So I mean, concerning the leader must be from amongst you. So of the criteria, a person that serve as the leader of the Muslim, he must be from amongst the Muslim, not someone who's outside the Muslim. So if so, the head of state of the requirement that he has to be Muslim. Second, it has to be, they mentioned second condition, taklif, that is taklif will include that taklif will mean that is of sound mind, and second, that is above the age of puberty. So for the Khalifa, the head of state of the Muslim, taklif, aql, wal bulugh, of sound mind, and second, that is above the age